From the first steps of blacks forced onto this land in 1619 to the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, to the founding of the African Episcopal Church of St. Thomas in Philadelphia, to the ordination of the first black priests in the Episcopal Church, blacks in America have continued to push their way towards freedom in mind, body, and spirit. While the outside world would offer suffering and harsh realities for blacks, there was a place where the black community could find respect, connection, and community. It was in the Black Church. Michael Battle, author of The Black Church in America, writes, quote, "The African context of Christianity is the formation of self through communal being or relationality. That spirituality means a rite of passage or a way of practicing a better life. The nature of the beliefs and practices of the Black Church can be summarized in the phrase communal spirituality. In other words, the essence of African American Christian spirituality is community." Black church communities such as this would be formed throughout the St. Louis area. The first within the Episcopal Diocese of Missouri would be All Saints Episcopal Church. Founded originally as a Sunday school on June 14, 1874 at 1220 Morgan Street under the leadership of Reverend James E. Thompson. In 1879, the Reverend Cassius M.C. Mason, a layman from Baltimore, came to replace Reverend Thompson after his relocation to Chicago. As membership increased, a larger building located on 22nd Street and Washington Boulevard was purchased, and on September 16, 1883, the first service was held at this site. The parish was incorporated on October 18, 1887, and by 1901 had erected a rectory next to the church. After Reverend Mason's death in 1917, the Reverend Duche Redmond Clark of Philadelphia was called as rector. During his ministry, the membership grew significantly and began to reflect a cross-section of the Black community. Church organizations such as the Credit Union, Men's Club, St. Anne's Guild, and the Matrons Guild were founded and became agencies for extending Christian fellowship and service to the community. All Saints Credit Union was organized on July 8, 1945. It was founded for the sole purpose of performing a needed service for the parishioners. At the time, in St. Louis, the financial institutions were reluctant to lend money to African Americans no matter their solvency. The ultimate goal of the credit union was to have every member of All Saints a member of the credit union. Membership was open to all members, their immediate families, and members of its organizations. The Men's Club, organized in 1934, met monthly promoting good fellowship among the men of the church and provided speakers on civic, political, or religious matters. St. Anne's Guild, founded in 1947, was organized to provide the opportunity for young married women to fellowship and render both financial and physical services to the parish. On September 29, 1918, the feast of St. Michael and All Angels, All Saints was the site of the consecration of the first Black Episcopal bishop to serve in the continental United States. The Right Reverend Edward Thomas Demby was consecrated as suffragan Bishop of Arkansas. In 1949, Reverend Joseph William Nicholson, Ph.D. of Pittsburgh, Virginia, was called as rector of the parish. Increased membership under Father Nicholson necessitated the move in 1957 to North Kings Highway and Terry Avenue. During the Reverend Nicholson's tenure, St. Margaret's, St. Mary's, and St. Elizabeth's guilds were organized. The position of curate was activated with the appointment of the Reverend Edward Brightman. In June 1983, the Reverend Emery Washington Sr. of Memphis, Tennessee, was elected rector by the vestry. Under Reverend Washington's leadership, the congregation continued to grow. Major renovations, repairs, and improvements were realized. Property was purchased with vision of development, and All Saints Development Company, Ltd., was established. As a congregation of All Saints thrived, so did the community. Through community programs, the credit union, entertainment events, Sunday schools, and more, All Saints was truly a staple in the St. Louis community.
Hi, my name is the Reverend Renee Fenner, and I am the first rector of the Episcopal Church of All Saints and Ascension. I came here in May of 2019, and it has thus far been a wonderful, wonderful experience as we sit on the histories of two wonderful and historic congregations, Ascension and All Saints. Since COVID, we've tried to regain our steps in areas of leadership and of ministry, not only here in Northwoods, but in this diocese. 2 weeks ago, we had a special guest here, the Reverend Gail Fisher-Stewart, who spoke to us about her book, Black and Episcopalian. And I am proud to say that we are part of the legacy of what it means to be Black and Episcopalian. One of very few parishes within the Episcopal Church. One of the things that stands out for us is that we are a Black congregation within this Episcopal faith. There is something about this church that we love, but also we embrace as Black Episcopalians. Our legacy is such that we care about our people, of feeding them, education, our place within the role of social justice and what that means, not only for this community, but the wider community. We've had parishioners between both congregations that had monumental effects on the wider community, between doctors, lawyers, nurses, people who work for justice, government, those people who have gone before us, some of them still with us. We stand on their shoulders, and we hope to continue their legacy as well as the legacy of what it means to be part of this diocese and the greater community. Some of my words of wisdom are these. We need to love one another. We've had so many instances, not only in St. Louis, but nationwide, of violence, of bigotry, of hatred. We cannot always think of ourselves as victims, because sometimes those acts are done by us. And so I would say to those watching this that we really do need to learn to love one another, to lift up one another. That is the greatest commandment. And loving means voting. It means lifting up. It means working for justice. It means feeding our brothers and sisters, being part of ministries where people are being clothed and fed and sheltered. Those are the things we need in order to show that we are Christians, and Christians by our love.
My name is Deborah Nelson Linck. I'm what is considered a cradle Episcopalian. I've been a member of the Episcopal Church all my life. I was born in the late 50s and was a member of All Saints Episcopal Church. I grew up in that church, and there was a strong church community there, and we participated in all aspects of the church there, and were there through the late 60s. And I have very fond memories of All Saints Church, Girl Scouts and Sunday school classes, and just a very supportive community. It was a bit of a high church then, and we wore gloves and hats and, attended Sunday school regularly, but I loved growing up in that community. Early in the 70s, we moved on to Christ Church Cathedral, where I've been a member for 50 plus years now. I've done a little bit of everything at Christ Church Cathedral and grown in that church. I have been on fellowship committees, I've been altar guild, I've been on various committees throughout the church. One of the things I'm very proud of as a member of Christ Church Cathedral was I was invited to hang up displays for Black History Month for several years, and so I was able to do that. But to back up a little bit, I have a long legacy of being a part of the Episcopal Church, and it started with my mother, who was a part of All Saints Episcopal when she came to St. Louis. And so she was a member of the church, and here she is doing some of her church work in the 50s in a conference, and here's another picture of her. And she would produce 3 daughters, one of which would go on to be the head of the search committee for the 11th bishop of the diocese. Part of my legacy that I will leave to the next generation is that I had my hand in choosing our present bishop, Bishop Dion Johnson. And that was a real calling that the church put me in this time and this place to be a part of something that will go on beyond me. The church has grown a lot as I've seen it, being more inclusive, but we still have a ways to go. I would like for us to continue this hard work of conversations and visioning for what we can bring about a new thing in the diocese. And I look forward to that and having as much a hand in it as I can.